unless you have having background noise that would be there in the recordings as well. So please keep muted unless you have a question. So I started my Docker and I'm cleaning up everything. Docker system, room, all. Clean up everything. Containers, networks, everything deleted. And then okay. Now let us talk about creating our own images. Till now we were using some images from Hub, right? From Docker Hub, we were using some images like Ubuntu image, Tomcat image, and all. Let us create our own images. So why do we need our own image first? Why do you need our own image? To have an enterprise application, right? Like to have an enterprise application, to have the application with our own environment, our own custom configurations, we would be working on creating our own images, right? So how do you create your own image? There are multiple ways again to create your own image. One of them is from a container. Okay, from a running container, you can have a image. That's one method. And the second method is you can also create an image from a Docker file, the standard method. Like create a Docker file from this, you get an image, from image, you get a container. Till now, we were looking into this part, right? Till now, we were looking into this part. Right, but what about this? Like, how are our images made? Whatever images you are using, whether they are from Docker Hub or whether those are your own images, any image will be created from Docker file. Like most of the times, they'll have their own Docker file from which image will be spinned up. Even the first method from a running container you can create, but again, it's the process, what happening at the backend are same, right? So, yeah, let's look into creating our own image from a Docker file first. That's not the standard method, but yeah, that is also means you can also do this way. So let's have a look at this as well. How do you create from a running container? I'll give an example. Suppose you want to start a container from Ubuntu Docker image. This is Ubuntu and you started a container C1. Okay, from Ubuntu, you started this container. So this is fresh Ubuntu OS. It doesn't have any package. Let's say your project needs SQL package, or else it needs some PHP, something like that, right? It may need different things to work on. So let's suppose you have installed all of them and you made modifications after login to your container. You made all of them. That's fine. Right, later on, let's say tomorrow I need again a new container. Again, I would be starting a container from here again, which is fresh OS, right? The fresh installation. So what you should do again, you have to install MySQL, PHP, whichever your project needs and so on. It means each time you start your container, you have to do this configurations. So rather, I got an idea. Why should we install all these packages each time? Let's say, okay, on C2, I have installed these packages, whatever I need for my project. So why don't I save the state of the container into a new image, right? Create the new image here. And next time onwards, rather than starting this Ubuntu, you start this new image. When you start a container from this new image, obviously, like it's a container C3, okay, which will have all the required packages. Understood. It will have all the required packages. Correct? So this new image, this C3 will have all the required package. You don't need to install all of them each time. So that's the concept of creating an image from a running container. Logically, this is how it works. So how do you create it and all we'll see. Understood the logic, everyone? A simple logic. So let's look into the hands-on. First, let me start an Ubuntu container like I mentioned, okay? Like Docker run. I want to go inside and check. So I'm doing -it Ubuntu. Yeah, that's all. I'm just starting in interactive terminal mode. As Ubuntu image is not there, it will pull. Okay, you get the image here. Docker and -Ubuntu, I got it. So here, let's say I need Java. I don't have Java here. I don't have, like, you can install whatever you want. Installation steps on Ubuntu, you can Google it. Like you have all the steps, like how do you do on any Ubuntu machine? The same way you have to do. Okay, you can get all those steps from Google. That's not our interest. Our interest is not to learn the installations. Okay, then so if I want to install some packages or anything, you can Google the steps. So I'm just going to install a simple Vim package. Vim is also not there. Vim is an editor which we are using, and this doesn't come by default for all the OS. For Ubuntu, you doesn't get it by default. So you can install it using apt-get. First, update the package manager. Apt-get update. Update the package manager. Right, and then install it. Apt-get install Vim. Now Vim should be there. Yeah. Okay, I got the Vim installed. Fine. So like this, do a small change. You need not necessarily install some packages, some complex things and all. Just make some change. Our interest is to save this into an image. So now just come out of this by keeping it running. How to come out of it by keeping it running? How can we come out of this by keeping it running?
Control P, Control Q.
Louder, please.
Control P, Control Q.
Control P, Control Q. So the container would be running. If you see Docker PS, it should be running. Right now, commit this container, means save this into an image. How do you do that? So you can do that by Docker commit. Photo for my own image column. Right, that's the name I'm giving. So if you see images, Docker images, do you see that image is created? If you run this, it will have Vim. And you can push it into your hub. Can I push into my account? Let's say, okay, image is created. I would go to hub.docker.com. So this is where I want to push. So let's say I want to push here. Can I push? If I push this, will this go here? Yes.
We need to
Will this work or not?
actually.
Yes, it will work.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yes.
Louder, please.
Yeah, it will,
Yeah.
it will work.
Any other answers?
No, you have to write repository name. No, username, I guess. My DevOps trainer.
So how should I push it now? What should I do now?
I can, yeah, whichever repository to it, slash you should give, I think,
So here I
before
should
my
give
own.
that. Here I should give that. Is this you are telling? That's all. Is this your same?
My name. Okay. The repo name should be there, I feel.
My new repo tag name. Is this fine?
So what we need to do is like we need to create an image. Sorry, yeah, create an image with the name which is matching with the
Means we
um
should tag it, right?
tag it. Yeah.
Correct. I cannot do this because it says this image is not there. I don't have this image. What you should do, you should tag it with this name. Then image will be created with a copy of this. Then you push it. Right. So this is how it works. And then, yeah. Yeah, that's how you push. Otherwise, what you should do here itself, you give proper name whenever you are creating, then you can push direct. So those things you take care from your end. We already learned it. So coming back, this is the image. So whether this image is having Vim or not, let's see. Let's get into it. Docker run -it my own image colon Vim. I got the shell. Vim package, yes. Great. Got the concept, everyone? So now whenever I want the project requirements, I'll start this image so that I'll get a container with all the required packages I need. Got it right? All of you understood this? Docker images, Docker PS. Right? So you have all of them ready. So this is one way of creating images, right? Now you can push to your hub, share it with others and so on. There is another way of creating an image. The same thing we will do through Docker file. Okay. The same concept like I need Vim and all. So let's create a Docker file for this first. You will understand the process. Then we'll go for Docker file for our address book. Okay. So let's create a Docker file. To create a Docker file, first of all, you should have your own context. Okay, what I'm doing is I'm going to create actually, I was using a wrong machine. And this is a Jenkins server, right? I started something else. It's fine. For today, that's not an issue. I just see some of them were already installed. That's okay. That's about Docker Compose. When we start Docker Compose, we go for another machine. Okay. I'm creating a directory. This is always a best practice. Okay, to put a Docker file in a separate directory. That's called build context. Means whatever you want to copy on your image, you can place in this folder. So create a folder. In that, create a file called Docker file. Docker file is nothing else but a simple text file with the Docker instructions. It will have all the Docker instructions. Okay, so let's go to the Docker file. Now put the Docker instruction. The first most Docker instruction was the base image. We will be taking some base image from official Docker Hub and build the image above that. So I would like to take Ubuntu. Earlier also I started a container from Ubuntu, made some changes there, right? Similarly, like I would like to take a base image as Ubuntu. And then maintainer is optional, like who is working on it or who created it, some author name, which is optional. And then whatever commands you want to execute during the build of the image, you'll place them in the run command. Run apt-get update. Run apt-get install Vim. Okay, install this. And then cmd bin echo. Okay. First, run commands will execute during the build of the image, right? Okay, fine. After building, whenever you are launching, if you want to have some commands executed, that comes under CMD. CMD command will be executed during the launch of the container from this image, like CMD bin echo. Okay, CMD bin echo means you know hello world image, right? Whenever you start it, it will display some welcome message. Similarly, if you also want to display some welcome message like hello from my container, right? You can add this step. This CMD command will execute during the launch of your container. These are the different Docker instructions. When you build a Docker file from this when you build a Docker image from this Docker file, for each instruction you write here, okay, a file system layer will be created. For each instruction you write here, a file system layer will be created, and those file system layers will be piled one above the other, which forms your image. Image is nothing but the stack of file system layers. These file system layers are managed by Docker daemon. Okay, these file system layers are stacked one above the other, which forms your image. This is your image. As you keep on adding different instructions, more layers will be added, which makes your image bulky. So, so it will take the base image. On that, it will put the maintainer name. It will update the package manager, install Vim, and it is having some display message. When you build, you see all these file system layers adding. Earlier method also same thing happened, but you don't see that here, but here you can visualize it. Right? These are the different instructions. We have many other Docker instructions. We'll talk about them. But once Docker file is ready, just save this.
Why we are using bin over there? Bin echo? Why not just echo? Comma.
CMD command will be executed during the launch. Okay, you are executing some shell command. This is how you execute. Bin echo is where you execute it from the shell or the terminal.
But usually we write echo on this thing, right?
This
So
is
that's
not
why.
a straight away shell command. Okay, if you
Mhm.
want to execute from the Docker container, this is how you should do.
Okay.
You are not
Mhm.
executing a shell commands here. Okay, this is a command which should be executing during the launch of your container. It's a bin bash. Bin bash will get you the shell. It will
Okay.
take you to the shell. Similarly, it's a bin echo, which will help you print some message.
Okay, so it means first this will interact with the bin, then it will go to the echo, right?
Yeah. I would like to build this. Docker build -t means tag your image. Let's say my image Docker file. I'm giving dummy name, or else you give here proper name which follows the naming convention, like about your username, repository, or else give a dummy name, later on tag it. And then the path of the Docker file you can give here, like the location of the Docker file. Generally, we run this command from the location of Docker file only. That's called build context. So dot. Dot means present location, the present working directory, the same path. Right?
Preethi, what did you mention about build context? I'm sorry, I couldn't
Build
understand.
context. Build context means this is your build context. This folder is your build context. Means wherever your Docker file is present, that's called your build context. You should be running this command generally from the build context only, means from this folder only. So dot.
Okay.
Maybe in case if you are running from anywhere, you put the whole path of your Docker file instead of dot. But like I said, we'll be running it from the build context only, because there might be some var files which I need to copy onto my image. So you should put all of that in this folder, which is your build context. Okay. When you run it, do you see here 5 instructions I have? 5 file system layers will be created. For every Docker instruction, you can see a file system layer being managed. Docker images. Do you see new images created? Okay, and if you want to see the layers, Docker history, my image, colon, Docker file. Do you see here? It took first the base image, which is 77.9 MB. This one, it took a base image. Above that, it has added those layers. Do you see that? Install Vim, CMD command, those layers, which makes this 186 MB. Got it?
What?
Understood? Mm.
Actually, I can say the base images took from here, Docker images. Suppose Ubuntu is not installed here, not like this image is not present in my system, so it will go to the Docker hub. Or how it is?
Yes, it will pull the image, and above that, it has added these layers, which made it 186 MB. These are the layers I got added, right? Yum install, Vim, update, author name, bin bash, and then this is bin sh. Actually, then this bin bash is available in Ubuntu itself. Ubuntu is also from a Docker file. These are the Docker instructions of that Docker file, which is 77 MB. Above that, my layers were added. Is this clear for everyone? Understood?
Yes.
So that is your image. And now what I would do, I would like to test this image. So Docker run, I would like to go and test this. So my image colon Docker file. So what is the expected output? What do you expect from this?
It will start a new container and interactive mode, so it will go
Like
into
you
that
will
sec.
get the shell, right? But
Yeah,
now
it will.
you are not getting the shell like hello world. Why this is happening? If I run Ubuntu, I would get the shell, right? But now why I'm not
Yeah.
getting the shell? See, if I run Ubuntu, Ubuntu is having this command. Ubuntu is also having a Docker file, right? It's having bin bash, which is giving you the shell. Now I added one more CMD. This CMD bin echo is overwriting bin bash, and hence you are not getting the shell, rather you are getting bin echo. Means it's like you are having multiple CMD commands on your Docker file. Earlier one is overwritten with bin echo. So you are not getting the shell. But if you want to make sure to overwrite anything from the Docker file, you add it in the runtime. So you got the shell. And Vim should be there. Yes. It's perfect. Understood? So if you want to override whatever CMDs they have, if you are not getting the shell, this is what you should do. If I do this, it's pulling the image and it will print this message, right? So I will keep it running. And also, let's say I would do bin bash. And I would like to, let's say, I would like to go inside Docker run minus ID. Or maybe it's not bin bash. It might be bin bash is not there. Bin sh. Bin sh also not there. Maybe it is having a shell. Maybe this is not having shell configured at all. But generally, when you have the containers, shell will be configured. This is how you can override them. Majority of them you can override as such. Any images, whether it is like a Ubuntu image or anything, will be developed from a Docker file. Let me show you those Docker files here. Let's say I'll go for Ubuntu. If you check on this Ubuntu, see what are all the tags it has got, latest, so many tags, and what it does, you have all of that information. And the Docker file links, supported tags and respective Docker file links are available here. You must go for any Docker file. This is not proper, like Docker files are not available here. Let me check for, let's say, Nginx. Nginx also we have used for port forwarding, right? So see, Docker file is a text file with no extension and they can be stored on GitHub. See here, from, it will use some base image. Above that, this is how you set environment variables. env, some environment variable name and the value. And run commands. Run commands will be executed during the build of the image. See, run command, which is installing Nginx, right? And copy, will copy from Docker host to container. We'll look into that. And see CMD. CMD will execute during the launch. Nginx -g daemon of means it will start Nginx. CMD will be executed during the launch. So that's how you can check on different Docker files. And I don't think Hello World is having a Docker file. I mean, Docker file links available. Let me check. Okay. Respective Docker file links, but where are the links? See, from, they can use some base image, right? They can use some base image. Base image can be Scratch also. Scratch is another empty base image. Means, let's say you want to develop your own operating system as well. Okay, you can use the Scratch so that you have to configure your own. See, an explicitly empty image, especially building images from scratch. Let's say you don't want to use any base images. Okay, you want to develop your own OS also. You can use this image called Scratch. Right, and then copy this one, and then CMD is hello. That's why we are not getting bin bash. Generally, we'll get bin bash configured here so that you can see. So every image available on Hub or anywhere will be created from Docker file. Even those Docker file links can be available from here. Let's say you take some CentOS official image, right? You have so many things, Docker files, links. See, from scratch, it was also developed from scratch, taken the tar file, added some labels, say CMD bin bash, you get the shell. So the point to make a note is from Docker files, you get your images developed. From image, you build a container, and Docker file will have Docker instructions from which your images will be made. Is this much clear for all of you? Any
Yes,
questions?
Preeti, where do we get this details? Run, command, label, and all these things?
Where do we, you mean the official documentation, Docker official documentation?
How to create Docker files?
Yeah, you have official documentation. Okay, here you can check for Docker files. Docker file, see all the instructions explained, you see? What is add? Docker file supports the following instructions. Format, this is how you comment. Right, you have examples, everything here. Right?
Okay, Preeti, thank you.
So this is a simple Docker file, making some changes, I mean, creating a Vim package. Now let's create a Docker file for our address book application. Right? Good to go.
Yes.
Yes.
So let us proceed to your, actually, this Docker file should be placed in your build context, means where your source code is present. That's where you should do it. Just let me copy it as Docker file backup. Okay. So this is your source code, right? You have cloned it. Correct? You have your you have your SRC folder, the target folder. This is where you should create your Docker file. So yeah, I'm going to create a Docker file. This is the build context for my address book. Oh, sorry. I would be creating a new Docker file. But there is no Docker. Oh, already another Docker file is there. Oh, okay. I understood. I copied it. Okay. Now, yeah. So this is the Docker file. So let's create a Docker file for our address book. First comes from. So what should be my base image? Any idea what should be my base image?
Ubuntu.
Mhm.
Ubuntu. If I take, I'll take Ubuntu. Then what would be the next step?
Install Vim.
Why
like
do
you
you
did
need
before.
Vim
Apt-get
for address
update.
book? Okay, update then.
Git is already installed. So Maven.
Why do we need Git here? Are you cloning the code into the container?
We need only the application to be there, right?
Sorry?
Hmm.
Yeah, we need only the application to be there. So
Actually, this is a
Tomcat.
container which should be packed. You get your basics. You pack your application along with the dependencies, right? Your container would be running along with the dependencies, right? So my application would be the var file. And then my var file needs Java to run. And then it needs Tomcat. It needs Maven to build the package. That's all right. All of them should be there. Correct? Maven package to build the Maven package. I would like to build the var file also within the container. Why to build it outside? If I build it outside on the server, I should install all the Java compatibilities. So I would build the package, I would build the var file within the container itself. Right? So rather than taking Ubuntu, why don't I take some image which will have Tomcat Java or Tomcat Java Maven? Correct? So that I
Yes.
don't need to install it. So this is what is the image. Tomcat with Java 8. Of course, it doesn't have Maven. Maybe I may check which will have Tomcat Java Maven. Or else I may find Tomcat with Maven or Tomcat or Java Maven. So the rest of the things I should install. So I have taken a base image with Tomcat and Java. So I would install Maven. So for installing Maven, I would like to set the Maven home variable. So env Maven home. I would like to set the path as USR share Maven, where Maven will be installed. Okay, and then I would also like to specify Maven version in a variable like this, right? Then install Maven. So to install Maven, first apt-get install apt-get apt-get update, then install curl. Using curl, I'm going to download the tar file. Okay, and I'm going to use it. So let me put the run command, which is with appending with all these steps. See, apt-get update, apt-get install curl, because I'm using curl to download the Maven tar file, extracting it and placing it to USR share Maven. And then creating a symlink for this path, USR bin Maven. And cleaning the package manager and removing the list from apt list. That will install Maven. Okay, once it is installed Maven, I want to run MVN package. Where do you run? If I do this, it would be running in the home directory of the container, right? So I would like to set some working directory as app. So it will create the directory and all execution happens here. So to run MVN package command, I need the source code. I need the POM file as well, right? So copy is the instruction which will copy from the Docker host to the container. So I would like to copy this. It's in the same path. So form.xml into the container. Into the same path of the container. I would like same path means into the app folder. And then copy src folder. Run MVN package. Okay, so run this package. Once this package is executed, what next? Package should be this var file will be should be copied onto the web apps directory of Tomcat, right? So copy, you need to copy cp command. That's a shell command. Actually, copy from app folder. So this is app. Target will be created when you do MVN package. Address book should be copied into this the path. But this should be executed during the launch. So run cp command. And you have to run Tomcat at the end. How do you run Tomcat at the end? Catalina.sh. Run. Right, this will start Tomcat. Okay, by the way, see, I'm taking a Tomcat base image, installing Maven, creating a folder called app, copying POM file, src file, everything into this app, run MVN package. Address book will be created, copying it to Tomcat. And at the end, I want to start Tomcat. This is how I do. How do you know you should run this? Let's say I'm new to Tomcat. You just go to Tomcat base image. Tomcat official image. This is where I use that particular tag. So if you go to any Docker file, see, this is how Tomcat is started. Also, how do you know where is Tomcat? Tomcat location, USR local Tomcat, it's set in the Catalina home. I'm developing my new image above all of this. So when I say this, it's having all of that. Catalina home setup here. It has got Catalina.home setup. So this is how I run Catalina. Also, sorry, this is how I run Catalina.sh. And this would be running on 8080. We know that. But let's say I want to tell everyone it runs on 8080 and use this expose. Expose 8080 means it's already running on 8080. Users, whoever using this will know that they should expose this port to see the application. So if I build Docker image from here, 1 second, maybe I may be lost. So now what happens if I run this? This is my Docker host. On this Docker host, actually I'm in some folder called address book. Inside this folder, I have created a Docker file, right? And this Docker file is having these instructions. Okay, let me, okay, that's a Docker address book folder. This is my Docker host. And this is the address book folder. In the address book folder, I have got Docker file just now created with these steps. It also have form file, correct? It also have src folder. Agree? All these
Yes.
are available in this address book folder. Now I place Docker file. Now Docker file with these instructions, if I build it, what happens? It will create a container. Okay, from the base image Tomcat. And this inside this container, there'll be a folder called app created. In that app, okay, it will have POM file. It will have src folder. And in that folder, you are running MVN package. Okay, in that folder, you are running MVN package. Okay, then it will create target folder, which will have the var file. Correct? See, these are the steps. Working directory app. So inside the container, it will create working directory called app and copying Copy command, what it will do? It will copy from host, from the current location. .com means from the current location, because I run build command from here. Copy it from here to here. Next, copy src folder from here to here. Then run mvn package. Then copying this address book. Once this address book where file is created, it's in target of app folder. It will copy from there to web apps. So your image will be running. Understood now what happens? Copy command will copy anything from host machine to container. And this CP is within the container. From addressbook.var file, I should copy into another folder called USR local tomcat in the same container. Web apps tomcat. This address book var file will be copied here. Clear?
Yeah, basically you're copying that source code as well as pom.xml so that it executes inside the container.
Correct. So that you don't need to do MVN package like we did earlier on the server directly. If you are doing it, you have to update your Java compatibilities each time. But this is packed. Every time it will have the same Java version, same Maven version. So I'm packaging inside the container itself and also copying it to the var file location.
And this expose port, Preethi, like how
Just
we
a
have this
second,
Jenkins.
just I'm trying to put it more clearly in the diagrammatic format. This is your container. Inside the container, this is app folder. This is USR local folder. Okay, this is your Docker host. Easy to instance. On this Docker host, you have a folder where you will clone your code. Okay, in this address book, you have pom.xml, you have src folder. Now I create a Docker file with all those instructions and I'll run Docker build command here. Docker build -t dot, I'll run here on my host. What happens then? Okay, it will take this base image tomcat, it will set. This is your container, okay? This is your container. So inside this container, it will set Maven version variable. It will set Maven home variable. It has got already Catalina home variable. From the base image, you have all of this set Catalina home variable, Tomcat installed. This is having already Tomcat. It's having Java. Now Maven will be installed and it will create app folder in the root directory because I have given /root. Okay, and it has got already this path. When Tomcat is there, it is already having this path. USR, local, Tomcat, web apps is already there. This is created through your instruction work directory. Means all your execution happens here. So what I'm doing, copy this one. This copy is a Docker instruction which will copy from here to here. Form file, src folder. Only those two I'm copying because only those two are needed to run MVN package. So I'll have form file here. I'll have src here. So now I will run MVN package. It will create this var file. Right? Address book var. Done. Then CP command is a shell command, right? Because why CP here? Why not copy here? You try to understand this difference. Copy is to copy from Docker host to your container. If you want to do within the container, it's a Linux Linux machine kind of. Shell commands you will use. Got the difference? This var file
Yes.
we copied into here. That's why CP, it's within. It's a shell command. Once it is there means you start Tomcat means yes, your var file will be running. We have learned web apps directory in the Linux concept. Right? And anyway, Tomcat is running on port 8080. If you hit the container IP on 8080, you will see Tomcat. You want to expose it to external world. But let's say I'm a developer. How do I know on which port I should expose? This expose instruction will tell, it's like documenting, okay, you have to do port forwarding on this one. If you use small p, this is the container port. You may use capital P also, but this is the port where your application is running. That's a documenting the port, letting users know on which port they should do port forwarding, or they should know where their application is running. Understood now, this diagram should clarify everything. Why I wrote copy here, why I wrote CP here. Any questions from anyone? I'm going to build it.
One question. What is the difference between copy and run and command?
Huh?
The run is also running the MVN package command, right?
Huh.
On
Run
the
commands are Docker instructions which will be executed during the build of the image. You are doing
during the
Docker build. Then
okay.
these commands are executed. CMD is executed during the launch of the container. Means when image is created, run commands are executed. CMD is executed when you start a container from that image.
And no operating system required, right? Directly we give the Tomcat.
Hmm?
No any operating system.
Tomcat is already built on Ubuntu. Tomcat from base image indicates it's Ubuntu with that Tomcat and Java.
So this base image we have to search in the Docker Hub, right? That I want this Tomcat with Java. Then I'll get this thing.
Yes. Here, if you search for Tomcat, these are the different tags you have. Okay, you can search which is compatible version, which Java version you need. Okay, let's say I choose
Okay.
some 8 dot some version, let's say whatever, something like this. It is again having a Docker file which is developed from this one. You have to go and check this base image. This might have developed again on Ubuntu. So it's Ubuntu with this part,
Mhm.
right?
Okay.
So your image will be always a delta changes, right?
Yeah, Preeti. And also the Maven commands you put there, right? So that also we have to search, is it just like that?
Which, yeah, you have to Google it. It's like installing. How do you install Java, Maven on an Ubuntu? That's how you can Google those steps. And instead of writing multiple run, I have appended them with ampersand. That's all.
Okay.
So many
Okay.
Docker, so many steps to install Maven. I have appended all of them through ampersand. There's a question from Rohit saying, what is port forwarding? Rohit, are you available in the previous class, last class, Wednesday session? If not, please, I would suggest you to watch the recording and come back with the questions if you have. Because we have completed that topic in the session. Now I'm building this Docker file.
So when we do this port forwarding with capital P, it will pick the random port, right? So now it will not pick the random port.
Oh,
It will
no,
pick
this is
8080.
not about picking the random port. It is about you are telling user where it is running. That's all. If you use capital P, it will pick up random port only. If you use a small p, then you have to specify the port. This has nothing to do with it. It is just documenting which port your application is running. You don't write it also, you can port forward.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, it's just telling you where your application, because not that everyone knows Tomcat. Tomorrow, so many others might be using this Docker image. That's why this is called build context. This address book folder, this is the build context where you have your Docker file, where you have your source code, everything you want to copy there. File. Now build it. Docker build -t. I would like to say add book v1 is the image version 1 dot. So see build context. It's sending the build context to Docker daemon. Docker daemon is the one which take all these instructions from base image. It's taking 1 out of 11 steps. It's pulling that base image. Above that, it will add these layers. Concept is same. Okay. It's installing Maven 4 by 11. Fourth step is executing. Fifth step, file system layers were added. Copy, run MVN package. See, MVN package is happening inside the image, like in the container. It's coming up with a package. You see, earlier you used to share the WAR file. And ops teams have to struggle a lot to find out the dependencies, set the servers, even though they set up later on, they might be updated. But now developers will pack their code this way and share this Docker image. So DevOps teams can deploy it very easily. So developers will create this Docker file. Okay, but at times maybe DevOps teams may be asked to do it when developers have to no knowledge, or else it depends on the projects, on the teams you are in. So you should also know this. Packaging web app. See, WAR file is created, build success, then it copied it onto the local Tomcat, everything is done, and you have the image ready. Let's see. Docker images. See, this is developed above your base image is pulled, which is 533 MB. Now your image size is 627 MB. Do you see that? If you want to see Docker history, address book V1. See, base image size is 533. I think maybe till this part. No, till this part. Right? Then these layers were added, which made it 627 MB. First, let us run and go inside the container, right? Docker run -it abv1. You should get the shell. See, -it. It was showing everything before I get the shell, like what are all happening. Yeah. You can do one more thing. I'm just coming out of it because this would take some time. Docker PS. Because why we are getting that? CMD is bin sorry, Catalina.sh, right? So it will start Catalina. So what we can do is Docker PS. It got exited because I did Control C. Docker RM DFT. Docker run -itd. I'm running in detached mode so that your container will be started. Yeah, it started. Now let's get inside. Docker exec -it 996 bin bash. Make sure you get the shell. Right now, see, I got app directory. Do you see that? Because working directory is set as such. Present working is app. And do you see these are all the things we copied? Do you remember? Form file SRC. Of course, this will be created when you do MVN package. Target folder will have that WAR file. See? And that might be copied into USR, share, local, web apps, right? Is that the path? What is the path I have given? USR, share. Okay, here you can check, no worries. Any Docker.
Tomcat will have
USR local
Tomcat.
Tomcat web apps. Okay. USR local Tomcat web apps. Yes. Do you see that? Address book WAR file got copied. And then, okay, let me come out by Control P, Control Q. Your container. See, I did not do port forwarding, right? My bad. I missed it. Let me remove and create new one. 996.
Here we have address book also copied, right, into web apps. We just copied WAR file.
WAR file will be extracted, right? Whenever you do, when you start Tomcat, it will be extracted into this folder. Then only your application will be running, right? It should be extracted. It's like a zip file.
But we did not write any command for that to extract.
Catalina.sh run CMD command. Tomcat started means whatever in the web apps will be extracted to the folder. Then only your application will be running. In the Linux class also, when you copied sample WAR file, automatically this folder is created. Just go and check that. That's how it will be extracting there.
Okay.
That's a functionality of Tomcat. Okay, I'm starting new one. I don't need to go inside. I have already shown you what is inside. Oh, sorry. I again missed port forwarding. Let's do port forwarding as well. A1F. See, if you don't do port forwarding, doesn't work. Expose command doesn't do anything for that. Okay, I'm doing a random port forwarding, or you can do specific port forwarding also if you want. 32768. This is the one. 32768/address book. That's the endpoint. First, see if that port is added. Security groups. Edit the inbound rules 32768. It is not there. Let me change this to 32768. Finally, this is your application deployed. This is your application, which is containerized. It's a address book where you have so many contacts. You can add new contacts, some functionality. But we are not interested in the functionality. We are interested in containerized. Got it right, all of you? Is this much clear?
Yes.
So, next comes the, okay, our image is ready. This is your Docker file and image is ready. Then comes the best practices. The best practices include reducing the image size. This is one of the important part. Always your image size should be very less, minimal, because first of all, when you choose base image, you should choose minimal OS, because see, images should not be huge. If images are huge in your pipelines, it will take a lot of time to pull the image from the your registries. Pushing takes some time, building also takes some time. Images should be minimal. That's the first thing. And you should choose the minimal operating systems, minimal base images, so that when you are using minimal operating system, means the vulnerabilities will also be less, like the attacks and all will be, means you are giving a less surface area for all the vulnerabilities and the security theft. So you should be using a minimal base images, right, which are having only the required utilities. Not that, see, your operating system will have all the utilities, okay, whatever required. That should be one thing. Another thing, how do you reduce the size? You can reduce the size using multi-stage builds. Multi-stage build is another concept, simple concept, but very important and interesting part. See, we were building the Docker file this way, right? Like we were building, means finally my image is having Tomcat, Java, Maven, correct? But Maven is required only till the build. Once it is done with MVN package, we don't need that anymore. Correct? So you can utilize something called multi-stage builds. Right? Multi-stage build is something which can help you reduce the size of your image. Let me show you. I am removing this Docker file. Okay, I will create a Docker file with a multi-stage build. It's almost the same, but what happens is multi-stages means you can have any number of stages in your builds, any number of stages. And the image will be built from the last stage. See here, stage 1, I have given the stage name as build stage. I have taken Maven Java only here. So again, this is same working directory, POM file is copied. Dependency go offline means when if it is already downloaded, it will not re-download. This is optional step. Copy source folder, run MEN package. So you get the var file in this stage. When you get var file, later on you don't need Maven, correct? So then you start another build taking this as a base image. This is having Tomcat Java which are required. And copying that var file from build stage. This is the stage name. Copy from build stage that var file into this. And these are again same. Means what is the difference? Your final image will be built only from the last stage. Means your final image will not have Maven. It will have only Tomcat and Java and this var file. Thereby it reduces the size. Right? Let me show you the difference. That makes more sense. Docker build -t, address book v2. The MVN package is being created. See, it was taking the base image as Tomcat. Again, pulling that base image. I'm using a lighter version of Tomcat, which doesn't have a, it doesn't need a JDK 8 or something, right? I'm taking a slim version of it. And image is built. Do you see the image size here? 465 MB. Earlier it was 627 MB. Do you see that difference? Yeah, almost 200 MB, more than 200 MB, right? I mean, almost 200 MB, right? And if you run this, Docker run -itd, again the same port forwarding ABV2. Functionality wise same, but I would like to get inside Docker exec -it 114 bin bash. So see, USR local Tomcat, go to web apps. Okay, here is your address book, that's fine. But do you have Maven in here? See, MVN command not found. Maven is not there. Java will be there. Maven will not be there. Tomcat and Java were there in the final image. Understood the multi-stage builds? Clear? Any questions now? The whole point is your image is built only from the last stage. So what are all needed towards the end? Towards the end, your image need not have Maven and all. Maven is required only to build. So you don't need Maven. You need Tomcat and Java for sure towards the end. So those two will be there with the var file. Rather than building the var file on the server and copying it, we are doing multi-stage build where var file is built one stage and copying it to the next stage. Any questions from anyone?
Preethi, you told two things, right? One is reducing the image size. And the second thing is downloading will take a lot of time in the previous one. Tomcat plus Java.
Your image size is huge, final image size, or else even the base images also. if you are using heavy images as base images, or else when you made, if your image is so huge, right? What are you doing in the pipeline? You are building and storing on hub. Okay, we did not do that yet, but in the pipeline, we'll build it. Now I am building manually, but we'll build these images in the pipeline. So they should pull the base images, right? Your CI/CD becomes very slow. Your pipelines become slow.
Yes,
To
but in this
push
case
people.
also we are doing it stage by stage, right? But still we are doing the same steps.
One is this build, okay? Another one is, see, I'm using slim images here. This one
Ah.
also slim versions. This is also
Okay.
slim. Not only this, your final image should also be pulled. It will be pushed to registry through the pipeline. If image is huge, obviously pulling takes time. Not only base image, your final image should be less in size.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Got it, Preethi. Thank you.
So work on this. Okay, we'll be building many other images, like we'll be working on many other Docker files. So practice this much. This is the very important part from the point of interview as well as in the working in the projects. So learn this thoroughly, understand this. Any questions, get back to me. These are all advanced concepts. Definitely you will take some time to grasp them, but hands-on and practice is the only thing. It's not that something which you can't do. Advanced or complex means which needs more effort and more time. That's all. So take your time, understand thoroughly, and go over it. Any questions I'll take up tomorrow, or else if you have any questions, you can let me know. Any more queries from anyone? I believe you have utilized all the 4 days for the hands-on. Yes?
Yes, Preeti.
Can I expect
Yes.
Yeah.
that? Right. You got some enough room to revise the things or fill in the gaps, pending work. I believe everyone should have come to the same pace by now, I believe. If you try on it, definitely that is possible because you have enough time last 4 days. So yeah, now pick up this one and do some hands-on. We'll get from here. Yeah. All right then. Thank you everyone. Good day. See you all tomorrow. Bye everyone.
Bye.